Jeb Bush has announced, there's Jeb, he has announced that he is going to at least form an exploratory committee to think about the possibility of maybe potentially running for president, which pretty much means he's running for president. Here's the note that Jeb posted on his Facebook page. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Like many of you, our family was blessed with the opportunity to gather together over the recent Thanksgiving holiday. Columba and I are so proud of the wonderful adults our children have become, and we love spending time with our 3 precious grandchildren. We shared good food and watched a whole lot of football. We also talked about the future of our nation. As a result of these conversations and thoughtful consideration of the kind of strong leadership I think America needs, I have decided to actively explore the possibility of running for president of the United States. In January, I plan to establish a leadership PAC that will help me facilitate conversations with citizens across America to discuss the most critical challenges facing our exceptional nation. The PAC's purpose will be to support leaders, ideas, and policies that will expand opportunity and prosperity for all Americans. In the coming months, I hope to visit with many of you and have a conversation about restoring the promise of America. Best wishes to you and your families for a happy holiday season. I'll be in touch soon. Onward, Jeb Bush. I don't know if you know this, but his brother was president, 2-term president. His dad was 1-term president, also the director of the CIA way back when, also a vice president.
Can you get that picture of Jeb back? You know, see in that photo, Jeb is actually holding women down. Do you see? Physically, he's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, so he's doing some sort of force, like a Jedi thing to push the women down.
Pushing them down from the glass ceiling.
Yeah, so we've talked about this a bunch.
Not in a dirty way, but you could look at it like that. You could look at it like that.
It could be a little dirty. We've talked about the Bushes and the Clintons a lot. I'm not a fan of either of them. We left England because we shouldn't be living under dynasties, and yet these people just keep coming back and coming back. And after we have Jeb, then we'll have Hillary or vice versa. Then we'll have Chelsea. Then we'll have Malia. Then we'll have, who's after Malia? We'll get Sasha.
Oh, that dog.
The dog will probably be president. And this all ends with Jaden Smith becoming our president. It's really just terrible. What do you guys think just about that concept? Not even about Jeb specifically, but what do you think about just this family
the dynasty thing?
Yeah.
Well, even their mom said, we've had enough Bushes in the White House.
Literally, that's what she said.
It's also dirty, but I can't seem to get away with it. But I mean, from it. But yeah, I mean, it really it's so incestuous that. But almost every government politics is an industry. Yeah. And like you look at any industry. Your father gets you in, your parents get you in, your uncle gets you in, I have a cousin, come, meet this guy. I mean, that's how things happen.
So it's more human nature, sort of just like helping the people you know and your family.
I think it is. I really do think it is. But we're not talking about him specifically yet.
Well, we'll get to him specifically in a second. So what do you think about the big picture idea of just these families that it's more and more and more, regardless of what I think the people really want? Which might be change, dare I say change?
I mean, I think that it's very sad that we've sort of accepted political nepotism as just the way of the world. The status quo is that, like you say, someone comes along who has name recognition. We just think, oh, well, I remember someone like that also had a position of leadership, and therefore the crown should be bestowed upon he or she, as of course with Hillary Clinton. The thing that I really worry about with what this also means is that if these candidates are boring and sort of like has-beens, or I think the toast is done. Did you hear that?
There was a little ding there.
I hope someone heard it. Someone's bagel is done. Someone could get the bagels. Yeah. I think that if we continue to hear sort of the same old, especially for the generations that are coming up, who would be interested in the political process, I think it just doesn't do anything to excite anybody because it's sort of old news, and I think that's a really dangerous place to get stuck into when we already have a hard time reaching voters and people, to sort of make it interesting.
But you have to put. I'm sorry, but you have to put some. There's a responsibility on the American public too, because we are star searchers. This is what we do. We like famous people. Yeah. We like people that we know. We don't want to know anything new.
And did you see the jawline on Jeb Bush? I mean, that's a movie star right there, right? I mean, come on, look at him.
Does he have the jaw?
Yeah. He does.
Now, Mitt had a good jawline.
I was
Oh, you would that?
Okay.
I was going to say he looks more like a soft potato.
Yeah,
Yes,
sort
he
of like a
Yeah.
fingerling.
Yeah,
right,
a fingerling
in a suit.
So to that point, so I agree with both of you. I think it's terrible, and then I also agree that it is. We're star fuckers. We like the name recognition.
Yes.
There's this idea of this dynasty family. You think you can say fuck.
I forgot.
There's you'll get a couple in.
Okay.
But we think of places like the Kennedy compound, and what do the Bushes have in Kennebunkport, or we think of these dynasties. But really, what could be worse for just the narrative of the country and just the discussion and changing things than Hillary versus Jeb? And then we'll get to the specifics of them. But just the idea that nothing, we had like a little 8 years of a different guy, and then, because that's what I think is going to happen here. People are going to go, we had 8 years of the other guy, we didn't really like that. And now we're going to go, oh, we need the old guys again.
Right. I know. Well, it's terrible because we are so afraid. We say we want change, and yet we don't want to venture into the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But that is indicative, and you can look at almost any area in our society, and it's like that.
Yeah.
Environment, cars, the clothing people wear.
Right.
I mean, everybody. How many people? Even when we were looking at this guy on the phone. There's somebody who looks so different. It's like things either are freaky or we want to be part of it. And it's
Cathy's foreshadowing a story we're doing a little bit, by the way. No, that's good. No, we'll annotate back to it.
Yeah.
We can do fancy things here.
I think that what's really amazing about this, I think we're totally missing, is like the unbelievably close parallel to Back to the Future Part 2, where like 30 years in the future, everybody is just played exactly by the same person who they were in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yet we have no hoverboard.
We did, we do.
I know.
Oh, now we do.
We do.
We kind of have
The
one.
joke is dated, Dave. Get some new routine.
We almost have one. Yeah.
And I think it's very sad, like we said before, but also boring.
Yeah.
Let's like have something interesting happen, and let's have something that's going to maybe give us a different look into someone who could lead the country.
Yeah.
I really think it would behoove us to all study sociology and see how history really does repeat itself and how the human condition helps to perpetuate it. And in order to get out of this pattern, you got to take risks. And each individual has to start taking risks in the microcosm of his or her life, and then it can radiate out.
Yeah.
So why would anyone want to be president? I don't even think we have to get into the specifics of Jeb. I have a feeling you don't like Jeb that much. But why would anyone want to be president? At this point, when we live in this world where all we know about hacking and all your emails can get out and pictured, I feel like if you want that power, at this point, we're like turning a corner here where every disaster is going to be at every turn. Like we're going to go into everybody's going to be getting impeached relentlessly or scandal relentlessly. Like I really think we're turning a corner into like bizarro land. Why would you want? Like this family is so powerful, the Bush family. Like can't they consolidate it another way that we don't need a guy that's going to be president too?
Right.
Or is it just that power? Is that
ego?
It's just
I think
ego.
absolutely it's ego. But I mean, and the only time I've ever felt this was. And I've been a few times, but most recently with my family, went to the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, and for all that it is, maybe it's a little bit sort of one-sided, certainly, but to go and to sort of experience like what sort of the optimism I think that the projection of the Reagan legacy is, and sort of like the idea that you can sort of really base your presidency on being like a figurehead for positive feelings about the country. I think that is sort of like enticing, if you are looking for like an ego boost.
Right.
But I think that now, that was a different time before we had email and we had Twitter, and it was much easier, I think, to craft the narrative than it is today.
You're right.
By the way, Andy, I know that nothing excites the commenters more than a positive reference of Reagan,
yeah.
so it's at Andy Riesmeyer on Twitter, by the way, so you can go to him directly on there. I think that, Cathy, wrap us up here.
Well, no, what I was saying is that I am at heart an idealist, I think, and I like to think that there is someone who wants to do good, but in order to do good within a corrupt system, I honestly don't know how one goes about it.
Yes, I completely agree, and I don't.
Because in order to get ahead in the political game, you have to play the political game with it, which is inherently corrupt.
Thus, we get the same families over and over, and things don't change that much.